All right, I think we are good to go. Let me just make sure that we are up and running on the other page. What is up, everyone? Welcome to your August live mindset training. I am so freaking excited to be here. I'm just going to check one thing real quick, make sure we're good. Looks like we are good to go. So I hope everyone pressed the play button, because little did I know that on YouTube Live, you need to press the play button in order to actually see it. So welcome to our next edition of Life Mastery Coaching. My name is Brad Vizjak, your host tonight. I'm so freaking excited to be here with you guys and to help you in business, in life, just to bring a smile, a genuine smile to your face. And that's what this is really about. So as we go through this, just as a friendly heads up, I decided to try a new place in my house for this video, because I thought that being in this room would make the lighting a lot better, and it is better, but the sunset is coming down. So just so you know, it might get different shades of colors as we go through this training, just as a friendly heads up. But let's dive into this training. I am so excited to be here. Today is all about business mastery, making sure that we have the right mindset in our business to bring that business to the next level. So as we get started with this, I want you to really think about, what is it that you do for work? If I were to ask you that question right now, what is it that you actually do for work? What would you say? So let's look at my business as an example. What's more empowering? Is it more empowering to say, hey, I own an online course about mindset and I also do life and business coaching? Is that more empowering? Or is it more empowering to say, I am on a mission to teach you how to be happy so you can finally break through all the negative self-talk holding you back so you can finally see the success that you deserve? Which of those is more empowering? Which of those is more inspiring? Which of those instills more belief into myself about what I do? Which of those two are easier to create content from? So that it's so important that we understand that the way that we view our business plays a huge role in our business. This call today is all about business, marketing, sales, how you see yourself as a business owner. So I challenge you right now, and I really have a question for you, just a rhetorical question as we go into this. How do you view your business? Would you say that you have a mission-focused business, a mission where it actually increases your energy if you think about it? And if you don't, you're hurting yourself. You're really hurting yourself if you don't have a mission-focused business, because the way you talk about your business affects your business. It's so important to understand that the way you talk about your business affects your actual business. It's in the confidence of how you say it. So for you, do you view what you do as work? Do you view it as a career? Do you view it as a mission? What is your mission? Because there's a very big difference between the three of the things that I just said just a second ago. There's a very, very, very big difference between it. So when I talk about work, and if I were to ask you, what do you do for work? When you think about work, what do you feel? Don't you feel kind of exhausted, like tired, like you're pounding the pavement? Right? That's what you kind of think of when you think of the idea of work, right? Well, what about when you think about the idea of career? If you think about the idea of career, what do you feel? What do you think about when you think about the word career? Chances are it's retirement, maybe the word cubicle, maybe the word 9 to 5, right? That's what you think about when you think about the word career. And then what about mission? What do you think about when you think about the word mission? When you really think about what that means, what do you feel when you think of mission? You feel passion, you feel alive, you feel like you're giving, like you're grateful, like you're hungry for more. So how you view your mission directly correlates to how other people perceive you. And you need other people's buy-in in business, right? So take a look at how you view your business and how you perceive it. And I'm willing to bet that it directly correlates to the level of success that you've actually had, right? If you view your business just as work that you have to do, does it affect the success that you have? Absolutely. If you view it as a career, do you think you're going to have more success? Yes. If you view it as a mission, I am willing to bet that you have above and beyond success. It's time that we up that game. And one of the best ways to shrink down the amount of times that you need to change your approach in business is to find a role model who's done it before and model them. And that doesn't just mean business strategy, like how they invite to their business. That means their confidence and rapport when it comes to talking about their business. That's what's important, the way that they talk about that business. So if you really, really think about your business right now, who is a leader that has their own business that you respect tremendously in your same field? Who's a leader that has their own business that you respect just tremendously in their own field? What qualities do they portray when sharing? And what do you respect about them? Is it their leadership? Is it the way that they share authentically who they truly are? What do you actually respect about the way that person talks about their business, their confidence, whatever it is? And which of those qualities do you mirror regularly? Which of those qualities that you respect in that leader do you actually mirror? Do you actually mirror confidence in what you do? Do you actually mirror this undying belief? Do you mirror authenticity? Do you mirror courage? Do you mirror those qualities? Because having a role model is a great way to move forward in life and in business. So what are those qualities do you actually mirror on a regular basis? The reason if people don't believe in you, the reason is because you don't believe in you. It's that simple. So if I were to ask you, is your product expensive right now? How would you answer that question? If I were to ask you, is your product expensive? What would you say to that answer? How would you respond? If the answer is yes, or some sort of doubt about its pricing, you just found why you get objections. I was at an event a couple of years ago in my network marketing career where I was at an event talking about sales objections. And one of the hosts said, raise your hand if you get objections to your sales, your product all the time. And probably 90% of the room raised their hands. Then he was like, raise your hand if you sell all the time. And at that point, I was selling my product all the time. And I raised my hand, I was selling the product all the time. And he goes, okay, raise your hand if you think your product is expensive. And the same people that had trouble selling their product raised their hand. Then he said, raise your hand if you think your product's cheap as hell and just such a steal for the people that you're serving. And the same 10% of people that didn't have a problem making sales raise their hand. It is how you view your business. It is that simple. The reason, if you're having trouble in business, one of the main reasons is because the reason people don't believe in you is because you don't believe in you. And it's that simple. So many people make the mistake of looking for a new strategy. And yes, a new strategy can be helpful, but with the wrong mindset, will a new strategy actually matter? No, it's not the app. It's not the tracking system. It's how you freaking think. That is what matters most. With a better mindset, are you going to be more creative? Yes. With an empowering mission, are you going to be more efficient with your time? Of course you are. So remember, it's the mission you are on. That's what matters most. So how do you craft the right mission for you? You go back to the beginning. That's how you craft your mission. You go back to the beginning. Because if you're honest with yourself, don't you get most excited about helping other people overcome the stuff that you've already been through? Isn't that what you get most excited about? Of course. So when I think about my business and everything that I love to teach, it's helping you overcome the things that I used to be challenged by. In fact, everything you learn from me is something I used to struggle with. And here's what most people think. Most people will think that it's their product that makes the difference. They think it's the price, what's in it. No. Like, it has nothing to do with the product. People don't care about your product. They care about how much you want to help them. So many people will say, I just want to help women become healthier. No, you don't. You want to help women believe in themselves so they decide to become healthier, right? It's so much deeper than that top level goal that they have. When they say they want to lose a couple pounds, it is not the actual dream they have. That's the top level, surface level dream. It is so much deeper, and you need to be able to relate to what that is. So let's go through a little workshop right now so you can find out what your mission is. Let me just make sure my microphone is on. Cool. That would be bad. So let's go through a little workshop so you can find what that mission is. So take out your notebook, and I want you to start writing, where were you before you found your business or product? Emotionally, not physically, not when it comes to makeup or whatever it is that you're distributing. Where were you emotionally before you found your business or your product? and start to just write anything that comes to mind. Just jot things down. Where were you emotionally before you found your business or product? Let me do this. Set a timer for 2 minutes. Setting a little timer on my Australian Siri here. Set a timer for she's setting a timer for 2 minutes. Just write. Where were you before your business or product emotionally? What were you going through? Was it low self-confidence? What fears were keeping you up at night? Was it fear of never having enough money? Was it fear of being alone? What really hurt you the most? What was the biggest pain point that your business or your product helped you to overcome? And just start writing as many things down as you can. Were you lonely? Were you purposeless? Were you sad? Were you tired? Were you exhausted? Were you directionless? Were you angry? What were you going through? And how did that make you feel? What was it that you really, really struggled with? Was it going through a depression? Was it something where you were going through a really tough time with your marriage? Was it something where you just didn't know how to break through and you just felt like you didn't have any direction in life? Write for another minute here. It's already been a minute, but just keep writing. Anything that comes to mind, just the deepest, darkest, most painful things that you faced emotionally before you found your business or product. And just start writing all that down. Keep going through it. I'm going to just give you some trigger ideas. Confidence, loneliness, passionless, purposeless, marriage just struggling, financially struggling, but not just those things struggling. How did that make you feel? Alone, scared, exhausted, out of control. What was it that you truly felt in your life and your business before that product or that business changed you? Keep writing that down. 20 more seconds here. Just keep jotting down anything you can possibly think of where you were emotionally before this, because it's not the goal that matters, my friend. It is not the amount of money you had. It's not the weight that you were carrying. It is how you felt. All right, it's been 2 minutes. So take a look at that list. And as you look at that list, what is probably the most impactful thing you overcame? Like, take a look at that and just start circling the 1 or 2 most impactful things that you overcame in your life and your business. And now think about where you are right now. Where are you now in your life? You don't have to be the finished product to be great at what you do. You need to be on the journey, on the road. So where are you now? Just for 2 minutes, I'm gonna start that timer again for 2 minutes. Think about where you are now. What changed? What's the biggest change that you've made? How is your life so much better? What dreams have you accomplished? Who's the new person you've become? How is your life so much better? Do you have more confidence than you've ever had before? Do you have more control over your life than you've ever had before? Do you feel alive again for the first time in your life? What is it that you finally feel in your life that you weren't able to feel before? And identify what that is. Really pinpoint it, really just identify what that is and stick with it and just keep jotting it down. And as you're doing this, I'm going to try to tilt my camera because that sunlight is not what I thought it was going to be. So keep going and keep jotting it down. Keep writing anything you can possibly think of just for another minute and 10 seconds. What dreams have you actually accomplished? What have you been able to do? Where is the change in your life now? Why is your life so much better? And take a look at those pain points and look at the ones that you've actually overcome or are overcoming. What has improved the most? And then I should actually keep going through that. And just for another 45 seconds here. And then we're going to go into the next step, which is talking about what fires you up the most. So just keep writing how your life has changed and just try to keep that pen moving. You don't need to have like concrete answers, just anything that's on your heart, anything that's on your mind, just share whatever you are feeling. Keep going, just another 30 seconds here. What changed? How is your life better? What's different? Are you no longer lonely? Do you finally have confidence for the first time in a very long time? Do you feel part of something bigger than yourself? Do you finally feel like you have your control back in your life? What is it that you are facing now that's so much better because of your product or business? All right, 5 seconds. Time. All right. So now that we have that time done, take a look at those lists and circle what is the biggest thing that you've overcome. If you were to take a look at those two lists, what was the gap that you bridged? What was this most significant emotional change that you made? Where were you? Where are you now? If you were to totally be honest with yourself, is that you finally overcame depression? Is that you finally have a control on your anxiety? You finally feel like you have a reason for contributing to this world? Do you feel like you finally learned how to be a better parent? And you might feel all of those, but what's the most significant thing that you feel? Do you finally believe in yourself? Do you have a sense of passion in your life? Are you no longer lonely in your life? Do you feel like your life finally matters? Do you have a sense of control for the first time? And so my point in bringing these questions up is I want you to identify the real and deep thing that you overcame. For me, it was this feeling of being so stuck. And no matter what I tried, I couldn't figure it out. I just felt like I was wishing my life would change. I didn't know why I couldn't figure it out. It was like confusion when deep down I knew I was meant for more. And I overcame that. And that's now what I live on a mission to teach. So what's the real thing you overcame? When you have it, you just found your main story and your mission. You just found your main story and your mission. And I want you to craft it into a single statement. That will be your homework coming out of here in an hour and a half. Craft it into a single statement. I am on a mission to X. Help women, help men, whatever it is, finally feel a sense of control in their life and give them a sense of purpose for the first time. Whatever it is for you. I am on a mission to help online business owners silence all the negative self-talk going on in your brain so you can finally see the success that you deserve. Whatever it is. My mission is to help X achieve Y. Or my mission is to help X feel Y for the first time. And just keep writing that sentence until you feel like it's right for you, that it lights you up. What is that mission for you? That'll be your homework coming out of here. And I want you to write it in either if you're part of Appreciation Academy in the Facebook page, or if you're not part of Appreciation Academy, shoot me an email with what that mission statement is. And once you identify that, it becomes really empowering. It becomes something that you want to revisit every day. Because if you really identify what that is, don't you feel so much more alive? You feel so much more alive when you have that mission. And if your business isn't growing, isn't thriving, maybe revisit that mission. I know that sometimes when I go through trainings like this, if it's something where I've heard this before, I used to make the mistake of saying like, okay, I've heard this before. Like that's not like, I don't need this. But one of the best things that I adopted is what could I learn if this was my next time going through it? What could I take away from this? So once you have your mission, into that single sentence, you're going to let everything flow through that. Everything, your social media content, if you do a podcast, everything. Because when you have that mission, you're not going to have to force things anymore. And so guys, give me just 1 second. I'm going to adjust this lighting and see if it helps at all. Give me 30 seconds. Let's see if this makes a difference at all. We will see. That is much, much better. Isn't that better? I think that is so much better. That sunlight was coming in. It was lighting up my chin. And it was not good for business. So, all right, we are good now. So when you operate through that mission, you don't have to force anything. You don't have to push yourself to come up with new content. When you have that mission, you never have to worry about feeling inspiration. Because when you have that mission, isn't your business easier? Do you need to force anything? No. Do you feel stuck? No. Are you more creative? Absolutely more creative. So your business working isn't a new strategy most of the time. It's your psychology. It's how you view your business. So over the next couple days, fine-tune this mission to the point where just saying it lights you up and energizes the shit out of you. But you could have the best mission in the world and still not have success. You want to know why that is? The reason you could have the best mission in the world and still not have success is because of the 3 main chokeholds that you might be facing. There are 3 chokeholds on a business that so many business owners struggle with. And that's what I want to take you through now. So homework number 1, identify what that mission is. Do a deep dive and find what really lights you up. But what we're going to go into now is what might be holding you back from living out that mission. So what are the chokeholds that you face? There are 3. Number 1, a victim mentality. And I'm not saying this is you, I'm saying that this could be you. Number one, a victim mentality. Number two, an employee mindset. And number three, attachment to your results, meaning your happiness is dependent on your results. If you suffer from one of those things, you're gonna have a really, really, really hard time growing your business. If you struggle with all of those things, you are gonna live in a constant state of learned helplessness where you start to believe that nothing you try is ever gonna work. And it's called learned helplessness because it's something you've actually taught yourself. But it's not true. You just believe it's true. So let's dive into number one and let's see where you are with these different chokeholds. So let's start with number one, a victim mentality. Victim mentality, some people, this is something that a lot of entrepreneurs or business owners say they don't have because they have the courage to do their business and post vulnerably and all these things, but it also has to do with how you view your results in your business. So what's a victim mentality? A victim mentality is a learned behavior. It is not genetic. It is not a biochemical predisposition. It is something that is learned. So what are some of the signs of a victim mentality? First of all, you think that you are constantly wronged in some way. Almost not in a sense where someone necessarily wronged you, but to think that it's unfair to be where you are. Like you should be somewhere else. You should be further along. A victim believes that he or she has no control over their life and their business. No control. They refuse to do anything about the setbacks that they're facing and believe that it's just kind of the way things are. A victim lives in negativity and believes the worst about the situations they're facing, even if the world is trying to tell them otherwise. And here's a really tough one. A victim expects sympathy and validation. A victim expects sympathy and validation. A victim desperately wants someone to say, I'm so sorry you're going through that. I'm so sorry your business isn't where you want it to be. A victim desperately craves validation from people with more success and people they don't even respect. And on top of that, if that person that they want validation from doesn't validate them, they feel down, like they're worthless, like they don't belong in some way. A victim desperately craves validation, okay? And so almost like if a victim hears, I'm so sorry you're going through that, it actually kind of feels good to someone that has a victim mindset. A victim lives in self-pity. It's a why me mindset. It's a constant state of putting yourself down. And another hard one, a victim will set themselves up for failure. Since they believe that their situation is harder or that no one else understands them or it's different for them, they won't even do the actions that could change their life because they already think they're going to fail. That is a victim mindset. So my question is, do you act like a victim? I didn't ask if you used to act like a victim because I know that some of my one-on-one coaching clients are here who used to have a mindset like that but have changed. Not do you act like a victim. It's not do you did you used to act like a victim? It's do you act like it now? Do you believe that it's just different for you and no one else understands your situation? Do you feel like you've tried everything to break through when, if you're being totally honest with yourself, you tried like one thing and it didn't go that well for a month, and maybe you tried it again and again and again and it just didn't work and you were expecting a different result? Because I'm going to be very, very direct with you really quickly here. It's not different for you. It's not different for you. It is not harder for you. Your money situation isn't more challenging than every other business owner. Your business isn't more challenging. And the reason I say this with a smile on my face is because I used to believe that it was for me. I used to believe that I had it harder than everyone else. My debt was worse than everyone else. There was too much money at the end of the money and no one else got me. And if I just had sympathy for the person that I was trying to learn, or that person that I was trying to learn from had sympathy for me, I would feel better. Other people do understand because you have complete control over your mindset. It is not your conditions, it is your decisions. It's not what you're going through, it's how you view what you're going through. If money is tight, saying I can't afford to learn, to grow, to get to that seminar, that is cheating yourself. It's cheating yourself out of so much more in life, thinking that your situation is worse off. You have complete control over your mindset. It is never your conditions, it is your decisions. The last of one's freedoms is the ability to choose their own attitude. And I know sometimes it doesn't feel that way, but until you learn how to correct that, you will be stuck and miserable. And on top of being miserable, it'll affect your marriage. It'll affect your parenting. It'll affect your bank account. It'll affect everything. So how do you break through a victim mentality? You dive into what I teach you in Appreciation Academy, because I think most of you are in Appreciation Academy. You dive into that course in vivid detail. And if you're not in that program, check it out. That's not the purpose of this call. So we'll talk about that at a later time. But it's so important that you learn how to break through a victim mindset, because it is not different for you compared to everyone else. And to be honest, expecting that sympathy and wanting that feeling of validation is actually a form of entitlement. It's actually a form of thinking that your situation is worse off, which actually makes you feel significant in some way. If that's you, I'm not saying that's you. It's time we change that. So we'll dive into that in Appreciation Academy, but let's get to the second chokehold. The second chokehold can be even more damaging sometimes, and that is an employee mindset. This is so common, especially in online marketers, and even more common in network marketers. I'm not sure who of you watching this are in network marketing, but network marketing is so much less risk than a traditional business that people oftentimes don't associate the same level of sincerity in building it. I used to not do that because I was in network marketing for a very long time. And that's what hurt me most. I didn't associate the same level of sincerity as if I would have, as if I opened a brick and mortar store. That's the challenge, because most of network marketing, here's the thing about network marketing. It's just as much of a business as a traditional business. It's equally as much of a business, but most people sign up for the dream and expect it to be easy because they don't have the risk. They expect to avoid failure, and you cannot succeed in business without screwing up. It is impossible. So you cannot avoid it. And like a lot of people go into it with the same mindset they went into their job. So what's the difference between an employee mindset and an entrepreneur mindset? The first thing with an entrepreneur mindset is that you are responsible for everything. 100% responsible. It is on you to create it. No one is going to come and teach you and save you. You need to understand that. You have to figure it out. It is on you. 99% of business challenges can be solved on Google. Figure it out. What you do is not hard. Please understand that, because I know most of you, building a business can be emotionally challenging, but it's only emotionally challenging if you don't have their mindset tools to correct it. But actually building it is so simple. It's not that the business is hard, it's that you make it hard. Most people start a home-based business and expect their upline sponsor to teach them everything, just like a boss would at a regular job. And this is a horrible mindset to have in business. You figure it out along the way, and the upline sponsor will work with you when you deserve their time. A great upline sponsor works with people that deserve their time, not people who need their time. So it's so important to understand that if you think, or if you aren't getting attention from your upline sponsor thinking that you should, it's because you need to earn their time first. And if you think that you are entitled to it and that you need it in order to have success, you are very wrong. You are responsible as an entrepreneur. The perks of their attention come after you've worked your ass off to figure things out. Does that make sense? That's one of the things that entrepreneurs have, is they have 100% responsibility for their life and their business. Sorry about the airplane going by. It's pretty loud. Number two, entrepreneurs improve their skills constantly. Employees improve their weaknesses constantly. So why is this? Employees are taught that weaknesses are bad. So employees work on making sure they don't fail. They won't put themselves out there so they don't screw up, because they don't want their boss to get down on them. But in entrepreneurship, can you be successful without failure? No. Entrepreneurs hone in on what they're best at and they sprint with it. I'm not saying they don't gradually improve their weaknesses over time, but they lean into their strengths. For example, writing is not my strong suit. Talking and speaking and video are. So I lean into that. My course is all video. This is a video, right? My weekly podcast also has a video. All of it, it's speaking and video, because I'm leaning into my strengths. What are your strengths that you can lean into? Lean into them and run as hard as you can with them. Next one, entrepreneurs try to fail. They love failure. They seek out failure, and they are willing to produce work that doesn't work. And what I mean by that is they are willing to screw up. They're willing to produce shitty content if it means that they learn something. They don't try to produce shitty content, but they're willing to because they know that it can lead them. Just one failure can lead to an aha moment that can change their entire life. That's what happened with me and my business. Employees are always concerned about their boss, so they try to be perfect, and they won't start unless they can be perfect. It's a performance review driven society. So if you avoid failure and you won't do things that could lead to failure, you're operating as an employee, and you will not have a successful business that way. You cannot build a business that way. Does that make sense? You need to embrace it if you want your business to grow. Next one, entrepreneurs make their own direction. Employees need direction. Entrepreneurship is the beautiful art of making something out of nothing. That's entrepreneurship. And there are some great proven strategies to do that you should implement in your business. But a lot of the times, wannabes or employees wait for someone to tell them, my upline didn't tell me what to do, so I can't be successful at this. You're being an employee. That is an employee mindset because it's you waiting on a boss. An entrepreneur figures it out. They Google, they YouTube, they figure it out, they try. For example, my business now has 4 branches. I have a life mastery coaching, a subscription program business. I have one-on-one coaching. I have public speaking, and I have my online course, Appreciation Academy, and the other courses that go with it. I had zero idea how to do any of that before I started. I did not have a mentor, a guide, someone that said they were going to coach me through it. And this is one of the troubles in network marketing. A lot of people depend on their upline when it is not their upline's responsibility to build their business. I had no idea how to build my business before I started. I Googled, I took courses, I YouTubed, I invested in myself. I realized that if I wanted to make dollars helping and serving other people, I had to spend dollars that I didn't have in people that already knew how to do it. And so I failed my ass off. I went deeper into debt to learn how to change my life. And guess what? I figured it out. It didn't happen right away, but I figured it out. If I waited for someone to tell me how, do you think I'd have success? No. So it's so important that we understand that entrepreneurs make their own direction. Employees seek direction from someone above them. And the next one is a big one. It's so important to embrace this. Entrepreneurs love risk. Entrepreneurs love risk. They bathe in risk. They live for risk. Why? Because without risking and putting yourself out there, there is no reward. And this is true in all of life, right? Nothing ventured, nothing gained. If you do not risk at some point in your life, you are never going to have the life that you want, period. If you just desperately crave certainty that heavily, you are setting yourself up not for failure, but for mediocrity. And that's not a fun place to be. And we all crave certainty. But I'm saying that if you want a business to grow, that can't be your driver. It cannot be your driver. And if that's not you, that's okay. There is nothing wrong with that. But if you want a successful business, you need to bathe in risk. In fact, not risking something is the riskiest thing you can do, because that is what's going to hold you back the most in life. You're going to live face to face with mediocrity, wishing life was different. So if you ever see a successful business, please understand that someone made a lot of really courageous choices to get there. Whenever you see a really successful business, that was not a weak-hearted person. That person risked a lot to make it happen. Employees avoid risk at all costs. They will not put themselves out there. Employees fear risk. They live in fear because they need the boss to give them a good review, right? They need to stay safe and not fuck up. That's what an employee does. And by the way, this includes investing in your business. Employee mindset would see something like my course, Appreciation Academy, or Life Mastery Coaching, and see it as an expense, like going to Target and never getting that money back. That's how an employee would see that. Entrepreneurs, like myself, like you, know in their core that if they want more success, they must invest in their growth before they are going to have the money to invest in their growth. You have to find a way to do that. And that's exactly what I did. And if I didn't, like I said before, if I didn't invest thousands of dollars in courses and seminars and figured out how to do this, there's no way my business would be where it is. I'd still be $92,000 in debt. I'd still be living with too much money at the end of the money. Short-term pain for long-term pleasure. Does that make sense? And the last one, before we go on to number 3, the last difference between entrepreneurs and employees, entrepreneurs look up to successful people. We love seeing other people succeed. It inspires us. It makes us see that it's possible for us too. Employee mindset people see a successful person as a threat or a personal hit on themselves. Wannabe entrepreneurs or employee mindset people see other people's success as their own failure. It's a horrible way to live because you need successful people's advice to shorten the learning curve to get to where you want to go. But if you see them as a threat and avoid them and see them as a sign of your own failure, you're never going to surround yourself with them long enough to succeed yourself. You're never going to ask them questions about how they got to where they are. Some of the biggest aha moments in my business came from asking people at seminars how they did something. But if I saw their success, their millions of dollars as my failure, there is no way I would have reached out to them. So all in all, what really it comes down to, if you're an entrepreneur, if you're an employee, it means you aren't self-motivated, you get flustered under pressure, and you're risk averse and dependent on someone else for your success. You need a mindset shift if you're going to be successful in entrepreneurship. Because really what it comes down to is taking 100% responsibility for your business and your life. Once you do that, it becomes so much easier to build a business. It becomes simple. It's not hard. It's just something that you try and figure out because you don't attach yourself to the outcome. Because if you struggle with that, you need to break through it. And that's what we're going to talk about here in a second. But I hope that gives you some insight into what mindset you currently have. Employee or entrepreneur, which one are you? And the third and final chokehold on a business is attachment to the outcome. Attachment to the outcome. Now, I'm not saying that you shouldn't strive for results. You should. What I mean is, if you make your happiness dependent on a result, if you do that, man, you are in for a tough time. And this one, if you're part of Appreciation Academy, this one might be something you've heard before. And that's okay. If it is, remember, it is not, oh, I've heard that before, I don't need it. It is, what could I learn this time, right? So if your happiness is dependent on a rank or a goal or an income level, man, you are in for a tough time, dude, because you really need to understand something. At some level, this is one of the main things I teach. Business success and money do not create happiness unless you're already happy. Happiness is what creates those things. You need to understand that, because if you see your happiness as a result of business, you're always going to be miserable. And if you're miserable, are you going to create a business? No. Not at all. So as a business owner, if your happiness is dependent on getting results, you're setting yourself up to epically fail in business long-term. Because and this is so important to understand, most of what you try as a business owner is not going to work. You need to understand that. Most of what you try will fail, and that's okay. That's entrepreneurship. That's what you signed up for. And if you ever want to create something that does work, you will need a positive mindset along the way. And if you don't have a positive mindset along the way, are you going to stick around through those failures? Or are you going to go up until you fail and then just sit there and wait for another burst of inspiration? Up until you fail, another burst of inspiration. You're never going to keep doing the things that will lead you to your dreams. When you are so emotionally attached to the outcome or your goal or a rank, you actually push it away from you. Don't take that to mean you should be excited or passionate about your goals. You should be. What I mean is, if your happiness is dependent on a goal, you're making that goal so much harder to achieve. If you felt you push for big goals and they evade you, it's because you're attached. It's because this must happen, and then you can feel fulfilled. When you think that way, whether you achieve a goal or not, which you most likely won't, and even if you do, you'll feel miserable. But either way, don't you always feel down? and in a slump. It leads to self-sabotage, compounding negative self-talk, all these stories in your head amplified saying you're not good enough. And whatever you repeat to yourself consistently, you're going to believe. When you try to build a business that way, it's overwhelming and insurmountable and defeating. You have no idea how to do it because you are seeing your outcomes as being responsible for your happiness when it's not. Remember, business success and money do not cause happiness. Happiness causes those things. Happiness for an appreciation for the challenge and the journey and the outcome, all of it is how you get to where you want to go. I didn't get that for a long time. It's why I stayed stuck for so long. You don't need to find the answer because where you are right now is the answer. The journey you're on right now. So remember, seeing your current good is the fastest way to increase more good. When you can see the beauty in where you are now, all of a sudden you open yourself up to the lesson life is trying to teach you, because life's lessons will get louder and louder and louder until you freaking listen. You have to listen to what life is teaching you. What if life is saying, chill out and appreciate your life now? And once you do, maybe we can talk about giving you more. You ever thought about that? What if that more that you want so bad isn't coming until you learn how to love right now? That is one of the key problems most people face in their business, because it's like they're trying to climb a big mountain with a blindfold on. Like, put your dream on top of a mountain for a second. If you try to do this, it's like trying to make a beeline to the top of a mountain with a blindfold on. You're going to trip, you're going to fall, you're going to break an ankle, you're going to lose your balance, you're going to fall off a cliff and die. And even if you get to the top, you won't see any of the beauty around you. But what would happen if you realize that going on a hike is awesome and you decide to love the ups, the downs, the peaks, the valleys, the twists, the turns, the scenery, the wildlife, all of it, the weather? If you're on that hike and that's what you try to do, go on this hike for the experience of hiking, isn't every part of it amazing? And if every part of building your business was amazing, even the downhill, even the returns, even the lower profits than last year, all that stuff, if that's still amazing, doesn't it become easier to solve the problem to get to the top? Yeah. And the top becomes so much more rewarding than it ever would have been with a blindfold on. Does that make sense? So what if your objective from now on, go forward, is not the outcome itself, but it's the growth in the person you become and the lives you change? If that's your objective, wouldn't you be more relaxed and happier along the way? Everything would be different. When you are in a state of, I need to get there now and I can't be happy until I do, how do you feel along the way? Stressed, frustrated, overwhelmed, pissed off, anxious, depressed? And then what happens if you do the other thing though? If you chill out, if you love the hike, you love the scenery, you love climbing that mountain, you love the twists, the turns, you never lose faith that that trail is leading you to the top of that summit. Aren't you having fun? Aren't you more relaxed, less stressed, more fulfilled, peaceful, grateful along the way? Think of those two groups of emotions: stressed, overwhelmed, frustrated, anxious versus grateful, appreciative, happy, alive. Which of those two sets of emotions are you more likely to build a business from? Which of those two sets of emotions are you more likely to make more money from? It becomes so much easier to build your dreams if you become committed to the dream instead of so attached to the dream that your happiness is dependent on it. So go on this hike for the experience of hiking. Do it for the growth, the experience of the person you become and the lives you change. When you do this, even if it's going downhill away from that summit, someone quits, you get a return, you drop in rank, whatever it is, you learn something instead of hate something. And that becomes an easier way to build a business. Living this way makes success easier. But either way, my friend, I hope so far you've gotten some insight into what might be going wrong in your business. Do you have a victim mentality? Do you have an employee mindset? Are you attached to your results? If you suffer from any of those learned behaviors, and I say learned for a reason because you taught them to yourself, you might have just identified your problem. I remember when I was doing so much intense personal growth, I heard this and I was like, wait, I don't do any of those things anymore. And I looked at my business and it was growing. Go figure, but I'm totally serious, right? Like I just talked a lot about what you need to do. It's so important that you implement this. So if this is you and you desperately want success, but you can't figure out why you're not there, if you're struggling with too much month at the end of the money and you wish it would change and you can't, and you're finding yourself in the same place, you need to learn how to reverse this. So let's go to the next step. Let's say you go through this and you're learning how to break through this. You're still going to have some fears, sales fears. Do you have fear of sales, fear of being judged, fear of being rejected, all of those things? Let's break through them now. So before we go into it, we need to bust some myths about fear, because fear of sales, fear of business, fear of all these things, they're very, very real. So it's so important that we understand these myths. So these are things that entrepreneurs and employees that want to become entrepreneurs face on a day-to-day basis. And the first is probably the most important. And that's the myth that you shouldn't be afraid. You absolutely should be afraid. You should be terrified on a regular basis. It is never going to go away. So if you fight it and resist it, what happens? It makes it worse, because whatever you resist, what? Persists. If you pretend fear isn't there and it consumes your life and you go nowhere, fear is your brain literally doing its job. That's what fear is. So it's so important for you to understand that your brain really doesn't care if you're happy. Your brain does not care if you're happy. Your brain's primary job is to protect you from pain. It is a survival mechanism. So at any moment in time, it is looking for what could go wrong, right? It's looking for pain it can protect you from. It's a mechanism from back in the Stone Age. It's real and primal. And the fears that we have now aren't things that we faced back then. We don't have to worry about a saber-tooth tiger attack anymore, do we? We're worried about what someone is going to think of us if we invite them to our business. We're worried about sending that invite, investing in that course, that program. Do you think the cavemen were worried about $1,000 in a course? No. You are going to be fine if you invest in your growth, whether it's through me or through someone else. Go to that seminar. You're going to figure out, I think in Jen Sincero's book, You Are a Badass, she says, take out a credit card and pay for it already. It is not a bad thing to go into debt to learn how to be a bigger person. It is never a bad thing to do that. I did it. People disagreed with me. It's the only reason why I am where I am now. So if fear comes up, it's your brain going, whoa, 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 whoa. Don't set that big dream. It might mean rejection. It might mean failure. Why don't you play it safe? It's just your brain doing its job. That's it. So if you fear an activity in business, it's supposed to be there. And if you're not afraid, you're probably not pushing hard enough. So the first myth is realizing that it's impossible to be fearless if you're really going for it. If you have a decision to make and it feels right in your heart and it's terrifying, it's probably right. If you have a decision to make and it doesn't feel right in your heart and it's terrifying, it's probably wrong. If you have a decision to make and it feels right in your heart, but it's not terrifying, play bigger. Does that make sense? And another myth, by the way, that comes up when it comes to fear is thinking that fear will go away when you're successful. And that is not true. I am successful. I am terrified all the time because you are always trying to grow. You're always trying to push for that next level. If you do a workout and you get really, really good at that workout, do you still lift the same amount of weights? No. You grab heavier weights so you can challenge yourself more so you can still get as good of a workout, right? The same thing happens with success. You're always pushing for that next level because we grow in life so we can become more, so we can give more. A lot of what people do is they make the mistake of getting down on themselves for not being successful yet, and that's why they can't be successful. Because we think that things would be easier if we were successful, but that's not true. The more successful you get, the bigger your challenges are. The bigger your challenges get. It's so important that we understand that. And so a lot of people hold themselves back because they think that being successful is a prerequisite to success when it's not. Fear is not going to disappear when you're successful. You're just going to do scarier stuff. That's what's going to happen. So this isn't about silencing fear. It's about using your fear, because you might be suffering from the third myth about fear, and that's thinking that fear is fake. No, it's not. Fear is very, very real. What do people say? False evidence appearing real. If you feel it, it's real, right? You feel it. It's just misplaced. It's okay to be scared. But what's actually more scary? Sending an invite to that top prospect of yours or living another year in mediocrity? Use fear instead of fear using you. It's just perspective. That's all it is, because focus equals reality to the individual, whether it's reality and actuality. So why is this true? Why is that true? So for example, if your spouse is late getting home from work, where does your mind go? If it goes to them cheating on you, what are you going to feel? Anger, jealousy, pissed off, anxious, right? And you feel that as if it's real. You'll plan out all the stories in your mind about what you're going to say to them and what you're going to scream at them about. But if you focus instead on how they're in a ditch somewhere, that's a whole different feeling, isn't it? Right? You feel loss and worry and panic, and it feels real, even though you have no idea. And then if you focus on how maybe they just got caught up at the grocery store or something, or maybe they're at work and they're working hard to provide more money for the family, what do you feel then? Don't you feel excitement and passion and just really, really pumped up about the fact that they're just working really hard for your family? You feel loving and kindness and gratitude, right? So my point is, wherever your focus goes, energy flows. You are going to feel it, whether it is real or not. So if you focus on your business feeling scary, you're going to feel it. So it is very, very real. And so let's apply this to your business. What's a big goal that you have that you're blowing up in your head? Is it getting that next rank in a couple of weeks? Is it writing that book? What is it for you? Is it that inviting someone might mean rejection and they'll just judge you? And when you fear that, what do you feel? Don't you feel, if you're worried about judgment from sending an invite, if you're worried about that, don't you already feel judged, right? You already feel it. So that's what you focus on. So you literally create a reality based on the story in your mind, because what happens? You don't send an invite, do you? You create all these stories in your head about how you don't know enough people or how other people just have it easier. And sooner than you think, you have all these things going on in your mind, and building a business gets extremely overwhelming. And so you start to panic. So you do nothing out of fear. But what if you reverse it? What if you intentionally change your focus because you know your brain's going to do this? And you say, you know what? These people are going to be so excited that I invited them. Where's your mind go? More motivation or less? More creativity or less? More or less panic? Less. And more or less stories about why you're not enough. And then how will you approach your business if you do that? Will you be more creative in the invite? Of course you will. Will you have more conviction in how you talk about your product or business? Of course you will. Do you see how you control this now? You just have to change your focus, because whatever you focus on, you are going to feel. And the number one challenge you are going to face in your business, in your life, is fear. That's it. We both know it's fear. That's the number one challenge you're going to face. So I'm going to give you an amazing tool. I believe I teach this in the Unstuck formula, which in more detail, which by the way, you have access to as part of Life Mastery Coaching. But I'm going to give you an amazing tool to break through fear instantly. It's a tool that I created called meaning manipulation. This is not an appreciation academy, so it might be new for you, but it's really, really helpful. So basically, you're going to choose what these fears mean to you instead of being dominated by them. So first, what are the main types of fears? There's 5. There are 5 main types of fears when it comes to business. And we'll talk about this before we get into sales and marketing, by the way. That'll be our next topic here today. So there's 5 fears that you're probably thinking of: stress, overwhelm, procrastination, perfection, and rejection. Wouldn't you agree that's probably what you feel on a regular basis if you're a business owner? You feel stress, overwhelm, procrastination, perfection, and rejection, those fears. So I'm going to explain what each of these mean and then show you how you can use meaning manipulation to overcome them very, very quickly. So stress. What is stress? Stress is just a fancy way of saying you're scared. That's what it is. Stress is the achiever's word for fear. That's all it is. In fact, if I follow the trail of your stress, it'll take me to your deepest fear, what you're actually afraid of. You're stressed about not getting it all done. You're stressed about all these things that you have to balance. But let's be real about what you're actually facing. You're just scared of all your priorities and all the things going on in your life, and you don't know if you're ever going to be able to get it done, right? Well, that's all it is. That's what you're afraid of. That's stress. But haven't you always gotten it all done? Hasn't it always worked out? And even if you didn't get it all done, hasn't it worked out and been fine? Yeah, it's totally fine. So we need to give ourselves some perspective and realize that it's never worth getting stressed about. I remember my wife was going through it was back in her grad school days. She was going through I believe it was a tough econ exam, stressed about like the test and all this stuff. And I wrote a little Post-it note and I put it on her desk and said, it's never worth getting stressed about. And I live that to this day. Am I perfect at it? No. I get stressed about things. Absolutely. But I remember when I'm in those moments, and she has to remind me sometimes, but I'm in those moments, I remind myself, it's never worth getting stressed about, because you can choose to live in a beautiful state no matter what happens. And we'll talk about that at a different time. But it's so important to understand that you can be happy and have a good time no matter what happens in your life. But stress, what does it typically flow into? It typically flows into overwhelm, doesn't it? Well, what's overwhelm? Overwhelm literally just means that you're afraid you won't get it all done. You're overloaded by all your tasks. Guess what? It's very similar to stress. Guess what? When you die, you're still going to have a to-do list the next day, won't you? So quit worrying about getting it all done. You have a to-do list a mile long and you're looking at it going, shit, how am I going to do all that? That is overwhelm. Want to know how to solve overwhelm in a single second? It's pretty amazing. To solve overwhelm in a single second, you pick the top priority. Overwhelm vanishes. And you're probably saying, but Brad, everything's a priority. No, that is false. That is incorrect. Everything might be important, but the priority means what deserves your attention first. What happens when everything is a priority? It means nothing is a priority. And so you do nothing, you get no results, and you feel shitty about it, don't you? That is not a good strategy for success. When you pick the top priority, you laser focus all your attention on one thing instead of 50. And how much faster can you get it done if all your attention goes to one thing? So much faster. So does it increase your energy or decrease your energy to laser focus on one? Increases, right? So do you get more done or less done? More. And overwhelm, by the way, in Life Mastery Coaching, I have a deep dive for 2 hours planned for you guys in a couple months, all about time mastery. Time mastery. It's going to be really, really powerful. So stay tuned for that. But an overwhelm, let's talk about the next step after that. Overwhelm is closely related to its dear friend, its twin, perfection. Calling all perfectionists. Are you a self-labeled perfectionist? Because perfection is just the fear of what happens if you don't do everything perfectly, right? That's what perfection is. And typically it leads you in two directions. One, you're a master of achievement. You get everything done, but you're just fucking miserable along the way, right? And excuse my language, I'm just being totally real with you. You just feel miserable along the way. Or two, if you're a perfectionist, you never start because you're too afraid of what happens if you don't do it right, if you get rejected, whatever it is. Perfection, please hear me. Perfection is the lowest standard you can ever have for yourself as a human being. It is literally impossible to achieve it. You cannot be perfect. So it is a horrible goal because you're setting yourself up for a life of misery. You want a better goal? Outstanding. Outstanding. That is such a better goal, isn't it? Because if you strive for outstanding, can you make mistakes? Yeah. In fact, if you don't make mistakes, you will never be outstanding. Perfection is you trying to push away any sort of failure so you never learn. Well, you can do that, sure, but you'll never feel happy and you'll never likely achieve much. And when you combine these two, don't you feel just horribly, horribly dead inside and you procrastinate? We'll get to procrastination in a second, but I want to dive into the outstanding thing more. Here's the thing. In life, if you do really, really good, what type of rewards do you get in life? What type of rewards do you get? Probably pretty poor rewards, right? Because a lot of you are probably pretty good at what you do, don't you? But are your rewards really, really good? Just saying. So here's the thing. This is what's really, really interesting. If you do shitty, you get pain. So the level of effort and the standard you have for yourself versus the results, okay? So if you do really, really crappy, you get pain. It's one level down. If you do good, you get crappy rewards, don't you? A lot of you do good, but you get crappy rewards. If you do great, next level up, what type of rewards do you get? Good rewards, right? Right? You work hard and you get just decent paycheck, whatever it is, right? What happens when you level up even further? What happens when you take that next step to outstanding, that high level up there? What happens? You get all the rewards. Let's do an example. The Olympics. I learned this from Tony Robbins. Think about the Olympics, right? To get into the Olympics, how good are you? You're amazing. Absolutely amazing. Amazing, amazing, amazing. You are excellent at what you do. You're some of the best of the best of the best. And so you're excellent. So you get great results so far. You got in the Olympics. But if you get into the Olympics, what type of rewards do you get? Well, mom's proud of you, right? But how do you actually get the rewards? If you get fourth place in the Olympics, what are your rewards? Again, mom's proud of you. That's it, right? That's what you get. Mom's proud of you. If you get bronze in the Olympics, third best in the world, what happens? If you're bronze, what happens? You get a medal and mom's proud of you. That's it. You get recognized too on a platform. I should say that. You're recognized on a platform. That's it. If you get silver, second best in the world in that category. Obviously, this is an exaggeration, but you get the point. Silver. What type of rewards do you get? You get a silver medal, stand on a platform, mom's proud of you, and a handshake with the gold guy, right? That's it. But if you get gold medal in the Olympics, Shaun White, Michael Phelps, that level, if you get that level in the Olympics, what type of rewards do you get? Millions and millions of dollars of endorsements and sponsorships, worldwide praise, nationally recognized as a hero. My point is, with all of this, especially in a business, everyone gets to have rewards. It's not like you're competing against everyone else. So you need to understand that first and foremost. But here's the thing. Is it fair that doing outstanding leads to doing excellent leads to great rewards and outstanding gets all of the rewards? Is that fair? That those people that do outstanding get all the rewards and then some? No, it's not fair at all. And I freaking love it. It's amazing. It is amazing because it's a standard that you can choose to set at any moment in time. If you just raise your standard to the next level, you can have all of it. In fact, you are making the amount of money that you need to make right now. Your business is the size that it must be right now and not an ounce bigger. It is you don't get your shoulds, you get your musts. That's what you get. You find a way to make it happen. Again, while being not attached to the outcome, being happy along the way, but finding a way to achieve that ultimate vision. It is amazing what happens when you do outstanding. My Product Appreciation Academy, is it outstanding? It is outstanding. And the rewards are right there with it. Outstanding rewards. But if I just kind of half-assed the product and did a good job on it, but not outstanding, would people buy that? Would people spend that much money on it? No. Would they perceive it as valuable? No. Outstanding in your business is the new standard you are going to set. It is so important that you understand that. Raise your standards, your business changes forever. Let's move on though. When you combine these, perfection and overwhelm, also known as massive stress, what do? You procrastinate. You procrastinate, don't you? What is procrastination? Well, remember that fear is nothing more than the anticipation of pain. It's where your focus goes. That's all it is. It's real, but it's just anticipation. So procrastination just means that you perceive taking action would be more painful than doing nothing, and you'll experience less pain by doing nothing. That's it. So how do you overcome this? You use pain instead of letting the anticipation of pain dominate you. You simply have to ask different questions, and everything is different. So think about this. Is it more painful to take action with an outstanding level of a standard for yourself? Is that more painful? Or is it more painful to wake up in another year having the same bad day? Just saying. Obviously the latter. You can use pain instead of having pain dominate you. And you might know this logically. If you've been through Appreciation Academy, we have that workshop and the procrastination lesson. You might know this logically, but do you actually use this stuff? Do you actually use it? Remember, what could I learn from this? If this is something that you already know, well, do you do the stuff that you're taught? Think about the consequences of lack of action, and you will feel pulled towards your action. But when you combine all this, right, when you have your mission and all of that, when you have your mission and you know who your ideal customer is, when you have that, you don't really procrastinate, do you? Because you feel pulled towards your dreams, but you might still face it every once in a while. It's just so important to know what to do when you do face it. But on top of that, when you have that next level of fear in your business, you're probably fearful of rejection, aren't you? What is fear of rejection? It plays into The deepest, scariest fear that you could ever imagine, that you won't be loved. That's everyone's deepest fear, by the way. Everyone's deepest fear is that you won't be loved. But here's the thing about rejection as it applies to your business. When you're focused on being rejected, what happens? Do you take action or do you not take action? You don't take action. So you reject yourself before anyone else has the ability to reject you. And living in that fear just means you're taking the focus completely off of serving others and you're putting it onto yourself. What are they thinking of me? You're thinking about what they're going to think of you. You're not focused on serving them. You're thinking about how they're going to judge you. And here's the thing. These people, you don't know their pain. You don't know what they're going through. You don't know how they need you. So from you rejecting yourself before you're rejecting them, not only are you hurting your business, you are deeply hurting them in their life. That's what's happening. So if you want to break through the fear of rejection, one, have your mission in your heart. That's number one. But number two, fear of rejection dwindles when your focus is on service first. In fact, if you ever have an attachment to an outcome, you've gotten out of a state of service and contribution and into a state of significance and focusing on yourself. Isn't that true? Whenever you're focused on the results you are not getting, are you still focused on helping others? Nope, you're not. Fear of rejection dwindles when you focus on service first. When you put someone else's needs ahead of yours, you stop focusing on rejection and you start focusing on service, which is the opposite of rejection. That is where results come from. Service first. Money is the byproduct, but service is the intention, right? So all of these, what do all of these 5 fears have in common? They all have to do with something so much deeper than stress, so much deeper than overwhelm, so much deeper than perfection, procrastination, and rejection all combined. They all have to do, wouldn't you agree, with not feeling like enough. They all play into your deepest worries. One, that you're not enough to achieve your dreams or to be enough for someone else. And if you're not enough, 2, you're afraid you won't be loved. That's what you're actually afraid of. Most of all fear in life, except for like primal, real survival-based fears where you actually fear for your life, all fears from your mind stem from not afraid you won't be loved. That's what they stem from. Every fear. Wouldn't you agree? That's what it all comes down to. Follow that fear. If you really be honest with yourself and follow it, you will find that it leads to not being loved. That's what you're really afraid of. So how do you break through this? Remember, focus equals reality. So when you feel these fears, they're real, aren't they? So let's use meaning manipulation to change these. It's a 5-step process that I created to help you reverse all of your fear. So watch these questions as we gradually go through the meaning in your mind as I go through these. Watch and see how this helps you. And then once we get through this, we're going to get to sales and marketing, which is going to be really, really helpful. So let's use this. Let's use the fear of growing a business. So step one of meaning manipulation, you are going to write down all the stories of the worst case scenario playing in your mind. What's the worst case story playing in your mind? What's your mind saying? You're going to write down all the crap. I'm not enough. My upline doesn't like me. All this stuff. You're going to write down all these negative things that you're saying. It might be saying that you don't want to be judged, or you don't know if you're going to succeed, or that you don't have the support you need from your spouse or your upline or your teammates, or you don't know if you can have success, or all this is a waste of time, or whatever it is. You don't have enough knowledge, all that crap, or times are tight, money's tight, or people just don't care about you and your message, whatever it is. Like, I don't know enough people. Whatever your worst case scenario stories that are playing in your mind are, you're going to write those down for step one. What are the worst case scenarios playing in your head? And you have to write this out or else it's not going to be nearly as impactful, okay? So that's step one. Step two, right next to it, in one sentence, what is the actual truth about the situation, and will I die? What is the actual truth about the situation, and will I die? So in this situation of building a business, maybe the truth is, I'm just a little scared that I won't be successful. That's it, right? That's it. Or maybe my business hasn't grown in the past. Or maybe my spouse said one comment over dinner that rubbed me the wrong way, right? Like, you have to be honest with yourself. Self-honesty is freedom. All the bullshit stories in your mind are crazy. Like, think about it. If you were to listen to your voice in the shower, right? Isn't that voice absolutely nuts? If you're being totally honest with yourself, why would you ever listen to that? Those are the stories playing in your head. So you need to realize that if you live in fact and being objective, it makes it easier. So if you're just scared you won't be successful, or you haven't had success in the past, and that's the only thing that's actually true, it's so much simpler to solve, isn't it? If it's one sentence and simple. Before, it was all these stories going a million miles an hour. But if you just ask yourself the truth in one sentence, it's not nearly as intense. I'm just a little scared I won't be successful. And it's true, right? That's okay. That's all that's going on. And that leads us to the next question of number 2, which is, will you die? Right? Will you die? No, you are going to be fine. In fact, nothing bad can happen from this. So really think about it. If you go after this big dream, aren't you going to be totally fine either way? And aren't you actually going to be more proud of yourself, and your life is going to enhance even better? It doesn't increase the likelihood for financial freedom and all these things that you actually want. You're not going to die. You will be just fine. Nothing bad can happen. So now you've told yourself the truth, and you've calmed all those stories and those fears down. And you realize the world won't end if you take action. So we've dwindled the fear. Now let's get some leverage. Step three. What happens if I don't take action? What happens if I don't take action? What that really means is, where will you be emotionally in a couple years if you don't take action? Will you wake up in 2 years having the same bad day? Who will you hurt by never going for it? Like, picture your kids right now. Aren't you going to hurt them? What example are you setting for them? Mommy doesn't go after big dreams. Daddy's too scared to go after what he really wants in life, right? I'd rather play it safe in my life. Is that actually a lesson you want to teach them? Who are you going to hurt? What life are you not going to provide for them? What disappointments or regrets will you have because you are still stuck in your life when deep down you know you're meant for more? Write it all out. And as you're writing all of those emotional, painful things down, I actually want you to feel pain. Positive talk, Brad. No, I actually want you to feel that pain. Feel it inside of you. Feel the pain of holding yourself back from really going for it. And when you feel that pain, is it really more scary to take action, or is it more scary to do nothing? Talk about motivation, talk about leverage, talk about inspiration, right? Who are you going to hurt? Picture the faces of your family and get all of those thoughts down on paper. Step 3 is to write all the deep emotional pain that you are going to feel in vivid, graphic detail. Is your relationship going to end in 10 years, right? Everything you can think of. Is that self-confidence that you don't instill in your kids? What's that going to do when they go off to school? What poor decisions are they going to make, right? Like that type of level of detail. Get graphic, get really, really painful. Because if it's not painful enough, you're not going to do anything, right? Which leads to step 4, which is the opposite. What's the best case scenario? So we're going to build positive leverage here. What's the best case scenario? Because human beings, everything we do is motivated by our need to either avoid pain or to gain pleasure. Everything is motivated by that. At all times, 100% of what you do is the need to avoid pain or to gain pleasure. Really think about your day today. Probably true, right? It's absolutely true. So if we avoided pain by thinking of all the negative consequences, but what about the positive consequences? What's the best case scenario from this whole thing? I build my dreams. I'm so proud of myself. I prove that I'm worthy. Picture your kids' faces. What are their lives like? I build complete financial and emotional freedom for myself. The list goes on and on. But the point is simple. Write out the best case scenario, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years down the road. And you can do that with the previous question too. 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years down the road for the pain, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years for the pleasure, right? But the point is simple. Write it out and get the best case scenario down on paper. And not only will you use that pain, but now you're also adding the added benefit of the pleasure you're going to gain, right? That's step 4. Is what's the best case scenario in vivid detail. And then step 5, what is my next action step? And take action right away. What is my next move? What's my next action step? Take action right away, because you never leave the sight of a goal without doing something towards its attainment. You need to understand that. So maybe it's invite 10 people to the business opportunity today when you haven't done 10 people in the last 2 months, 3 months combined. Invite 10 people to that business opportunity today. Go and do it. You take action immediately using your mission, that leverage, everything we talked about, understanding fears to make yourself go do it. It is that simple, because fear is the biggest challenge that you were going to face on your journey to greatness. Hands down, the biggest one. But if you use meaning manipulation, you can feel a difference in your focus, can't you? Remember, focus equals reality to the individual, even if it's not reality in actuality. So if you do this, will you feel different emotions? Yeah. Will you feel more positive intent? Yeah. Will you play up a story in your head about why you can't do this anymore? No, it's going to go away. You're going to feel like you're going to build up a story about why you can do it, right? You're damn right you will. And when you do that, game over. You'll take massive action and you will crush your goals. So we've talked about a lot so far. We've talked about eliminating the fears that we have when it comes to sales. We've talked about raising our standards. We talked about the way that we view our work, our career, our mission, crafting a mission statement, how to do that. We talked about the chokeholds on a business, a victim mentality, an employee mindset, attachment to the results, and all of those sales fears of perfection, overwhelm, stress, procrastination, and rejection. And now it is time to dive into marketing. How do we actually put ourselves out there for our business to grow? How do we do that? It's so important that we learn how to do that, because if you don't, you're kind of screwed, aren't you? So let's understand something. Really, really, really important to understand this. Let's get into the idea of marketing. Once those fears are gone, how do you actually reach people? Marketing is a skill you must master. And this is so important to understand. To be an effective business owner, and write this in your notes, to be an effective business owner, you absolutely must stay emotionally connected to your ideal customer's deepest fears and highest aspirations. Let me repeat that. To be an effective business owner, you absolutely must stay emotionally connected to your ideal customer's deepest fears and highest aspirations. And your mission statement is a reminder of that. It's a reminder of that. And if you don't know who you're trying to reach, really dive into that mission statement and post an appreciation academy about the ideal customer avatar exercise. And I'll send that over to you, because that will really help you get there. But let's go, before we actually get into marketing, let's go through some common mistakes when it comes to marketing. What are some common mistakes when it comes to marketing? Number one common mistake is posting just to post. Everything you share needs to have value. It needs to have a reason, something wonderful to offer someone else. Otherwise, you're just noise. You are just noise. Each time you share with intentionality. Share for a reason. If you don't have a reason to post, you're actually hurting people, aren't you? Your audience needs to associate a predictable feeling with you. When you see my content, it's thought out, isn't it? When I do a podcast episode, isn't it right in line with what you're thinking? If you really think about my podcast, if you're being totally honest, how many times have you gone, holy cow, that's me? Have you ever done that? Right? It's because I know your deepest fears. I know what you want. I know what you struggle with. I know how to help you break it through. And I know how to inspire you to do that. So if I give you a predictable feeling of inspiration and drive and passion and aliveness when I share, right? That's a predictable feeling that I'll give you. You need a predictable feeling that your audience gets from you. What's the feeling? If you were to be totally honest with your marketing, what's the feeling that they get from you? What do you think? Give your audience a predictable feeling with everything you share. If you are up and down, all your positive is canceled out by the negative. It doesn't do anything. It just confuses people. How many people do you know that will share positive stuff on social media and then a day later post something about politics and ripping apart whoever supports someone and all this stuff, right? And you go, that doesn't make sense to me. It confuses me. Well, do you do that? And it might not be as extreme as politics versus like something loving, right? It doesn't have to be that extreme, but it can be like, am I consistently overcoming a deep emotional pain point talking about the negative? And then sometimes am I really positive? And is it bouncing back and forth between that? What consistent feeling do you give them? You need to give them something. That's number one common mistake that people make in marketing. Number two common mistake people make in marketing is sharing your life without something that someone else can use, right? When I started off in online marketing, there was this idea of attraction marketing out there, right? I wanted to show my life, and I misinterpreted that. I interpret it as show my life off, just show everyone what I'm doing. And sure, there's a piece of it where you want to show people that you're a real human, absolutely. But a common mistake that see people do is just share what they did that day. You need to remember that your social media is a tool. Do you see Apple sharing their quarterly reporting meetings that they meet about, or the different project review boards that they have? Do you see them actually doing that? So do you want to share about your life? Absolutely share about your life. Share about your kids. Share about who you are. But do it with intention. It's not, my daughter had a dance recital tonight, right? Because your social media is a tool now. If you want to build a business, your social media is a tool. It's not, my daughter had a dance recital tonight and it went well, right? It's, my daughter had a dance recital tonight and it really hit me that kids grow up so fast. And if you don't take a moment to appreciate the beauty of every moment with them, life is just going to pass you by. So go give your kid a hug tonight, right? Make a memory with your kids tonight. Help them feel loved tonight. And don't take it for granted because life is too short. You feel a difference? You feel a difference in sharing about your life. Instead of it just being, I did this, I'm doing that. It's, here is what I did, and here's a lesson behind it. It's so important that we understand that. In fact, how do you share on social media? How do you share a story? I'm going to teach you something called expert story positioning. This is something that I learned from Brendon Burchard. I did not create this. This is from Brendon Burchard's work that I personally use on a regular basis. It's called expert story positioning. It's a way to share any story on social media to any public world and actually be received, because people will not believe your successes until they believe your struggles. You need to understand that people will not believe your successes, that your business is a thing, that your challenge groups are a thing if you're in coaching, and they won't believe any of that until they believe your struggles. You need to lead with the struggles. So what is expert story positioning? Expert story positioning is, number one, do you ever struggle with X? That's number one. Do you ever struggle with X? Number two, I did or do too. Here's my story of struggle. List out what you've gone through or are going through. Step three, here's how I overcame it or am overcoming it, if you're not through it yet, because you don't need to be through it to share it. Here's how I overcame it or am overcoming it. Step four, here are 2, 5, 10, whatever the number is, things you can do to overcome it too. Next, call to action. Does that make sense? So, do you ever struggle with X? Number two, I did too. Here's my story of struggle. Number three, here's how I overcame or am overcoming that struggle. Number four, here's exactly what you can do to overcome that struggle yourself. And number five, call to action. Join my group. Like this post. Comment below. Share this with someone that needs to hear it today. Call to action is number 5. Does that make sense? Okay, that's how you share a story on social media. Go forward. Try it. You'll get more engagement than ever before. You feel a difference in there? Okay. Number three mistake that people make when it comes to online marketing is sharing too frequently. And this one's really simple. Don't be annoying. It's really that simple. If you post 1 to 2 times a day, you're fine. A better way to say this would be honor the platform you're in. If you're on Twitter, share all the time. Doesn't matter. But honor the platform you're on. Sharing 5, 10 times a day will actually piss someone off unless you're on Twitter, right? It will actually upset someone. The Facebook and Instagram platforms will give even more visibility to those that post a little bit less, as opposed to 5 to 10 times a day. So really simple logistical thing. Number 3 is sharing too frequently. That's a mistake. But you also need consistency, which is kind of the opposite, but still number 3 is consistency in what you share. Give predictability to what you do. People know that every Wednesday at 9 a.m., a podcast episode is released for me. Every Wednesday, all year, right? People know that, so they can anticipate it. They need a predictable level of consistency from you. I'm not saying it needs to be every day, but make it consistent in some way, shape, or form. Does that make sense? Number 4 mistake that people make is trying to prove the validity of your business. Trying to prove, saying like, why haven't you joined me yet? Saying like, my business does this, this, and this. It's so great, right? Like, I'm not saying don't share what your business has done for you. What I'm saying is, if you spend your time trying to validate to the outside world that your business is legit, it's actually a form of judgment for those that don't want to join your business yet. And you actually push them away. you're bringing energy down if you're trying to prove your business, and you're taking the focus off of those that would love you and your business. So proving your business does nothing but hurt you. I did it for years. I tried to share all these trips I was going on that I won. I tried to share this free time that I had. I tried to share all this stuff. And I was thinking by sharing my life consistently in that way, but just by showing my life off in some way, that it inspired people, because I thought if I wanted people to join me, they needed to see the life that I had. No, it doesn't work that way. Share your vision and your excitement and your story of struggle, and you will inspire people. Think of your social media as a tool to help, not a tool to show. Does that make sense? It is a tool to serve and help, not a tool to show and become significant. And number 5 is trying to be someone you're not when you're on social media. I see this in network marketing all the time. People with the fake smiles and the bullshit, right? Like when it's not actually you, don't be someone you're not. A lot of people do the sorority hip hop and the mouth open, leaning towards the camera, right? If that's you, cool. There's nothing wrong with that. Do that. But be who you really are. And by the way, who you really are. I'm not saying the you that's conditioned by fear. I'm saying the real you, the you that's grateful, the you that's truly authentic, the you that's that person that smiles with their eyes and their teeth, the person that feels alive every day, the highest version of you. Share that, not the you, because this could be really easily misconstrued as, well, I'm just a shy person that doesn't want to put myself out there, so I'm not really going to smile that much in my photos. Well, you could think that way, sure, but does that actually help you? No, because if you actually want to help someone, they need to see who you truly are. So think about your best friend in the world, and you being your best version of yourself around that best friend. How would that person smile? How would that person act? And just be that person. It becomes so much easier to build a business because you don't have to force things all the time. It becomes so much easier. Yes, there's strategies with lighting and contrast and photos to make them eye-catching. Absolutely do that. That plays a role. But this is just about authenticity. That's really what it's about. Authenticity and who you are. So when you're sharing, just be real and do it from a place of inspiration. If you want to be inspiring, inspire yourself. You can't inspire someone if you aren't inspired yourself. You can't motivate someone if you aren't motivated. Okay? Does this make sense? Those are the 5 common mistakes when it comes to marketing. But let's get into how to actually market. So first, what is marketing? Marketing is the generous act, I learned this from Seth Godin, marketing is the generous act of helping someone solve a problem. And I say generous because you have to be who you truly are and give all of yourself to do it. Marketing is the generous act of helping someone solve a problem. That's what you're doing. You are helping someone solve a problem. What most people do is try to show off how they are solving their own problems. They don't share how this can serve someone else. They don't keep other people's ideas in mind. So this is why you need to know who you want to serve on a deep level. It's so important that you do, because if you don't know your customer's deepest fear and highest aspiration, you won't know what problems to solve for them. So you won't have anything to share about, and you'll be reaching and grasping in every direction for content. Does that make sense? And then when you see other people sharing and seem to be crushing it on their social media, you'll get into the comparison game when all of this can be beaten by identifying what your ideal customer is really struggling with and how you can serve it. And you do that through expert story positioning. Do you ever struggle with X? I did too. Here's my story of struggle. Here's how I overcame it, or I'm overcoming it. Here's exactly what you can do too. Here's a call to action. It is you keeping their interest in mind. Does that make sense? Something you must understand if you ever want to be successful in business. If you are not crystal clear on who you're trying to reach, and if you don't align your content with that exact person, you are reaching nobody. You are marketing to nobody. You need to craft it to an ideal person, so specific. It's so important that you reach the smallest type of person, the smallest group of people you can reach. I'll talk about that more in a minute, because interruption doesn't work. What I mean by that is a lot of people think that if I just write the most posts or get in front of someone, they'll join you. No, in this day and age, marketing must be earned. Marketing must be earned. Marketing is now a game of trust. Before, you could buy an ad in the newspaper and people would call that number. Now, if you see an ad in the newspaper, what do? Shit, you probably don't even use a newspaper. If you see an ad anywhere, what do? You just look past it, right? You don't even think about it. Let's say you get a letter in the mail from Wowie Internet, right? I get those all the time. I've Comcast and Wowie Internet sends me a mailer in my mailbox outside. Do I actually look at it? No, I just throw it away. Well, that's how it works nowadays. If you ever want to reach someone, you have to add value first. Value comes first. People buy through trust. And the way you earn trust is through constant, massive value being added to your ideal person, not just added in general, added to your ideal person. Because marketing is empathy. Marketing is empathy. It is trust that must be earned. It is empathy. So instead of just sharing about your life to show who you are, you're going to use your life as a tool to add value. Everything needs to be with your ideal customer's interest in mind. I want you to pretend when you share, you are talking to one person. You want to create content that is so good that you would actually be missed if you didn't show up. If you didn't show up on social media that week, people would actually miss you. That's how much value to add. And you'll only know what value to add if you know A, your mission, and B, the ideal person you want to serve on a deep emotional level. And again, if you're in Appreciation Academy, make a post about it in there later tonight or tomorrow. I'll tag you in the customer avatar exercise. But how you add value is through insane vulnerability. You must share what's really going on. You must have that courage, because that is what is actually going to inspire your ideal customer. Sharing your story of struggle, just showing a great life. And I know this is wrong because I did it. Just sharing a great life with little inspirational quotes doesn't do shit. And I need to get better at this myself, right? I need to get better at this myself. But I know this because when I do share my story on a deep level, it penetrates people's soul. But when I just share top level bullshit because I'm in a rush that day or something, it doesn't do anything, right? So guys, remember, I'm not perfect at this, but just remember that showing a great life with and just pretending everything is perfect, it doesn't do anything. It doesn't move people. Your vulnerability with the intention of helping them break through help them break through what's going on in their life. That's what's going to inspire them to act. In a social media world that's so busy and so saturated, the only way you are ever going to break through the noise is with the truth. That's it. Attention is a precious resource that you need to earn. Persistent, consistent, and frequent stories of your life with the intention to serve and to add value delivered to an aligned audience, meaning in line with your ideal customer avatar, will earn you attention, trust, and action. And you do this by caring enough about the people that you seek to serve. You share the things that they need to hear. Not that you wanted to share things they needed to hear. That's how you market. People don't buy your story. They buy what they see in your story. They buy how they can see their own life changing. So share what they need to hear, not what you want to share. They buy how they can see their life changing. So hear what your ideal customer struggles with. Listen to her, influence her, help her. That's how your game changes. And you do this by identifying the smallest group of people you could ever reach. It's called, Seth Godin calls it the smallest viable market, the smallest market. You must identify a market so small that you get deep enough. Because if you are so specific in what you share and you make them a promise, or you basically make them believe that they're going to get a consistent feeling from you, they're actually going to trust you. And you might be going, but Brad, if I limit my audience, aren't I holding myself back from reaching more people? No, it's actually the exact opposite. The only way you are ever going to reach anyone is if you go deep enough and vulnerable enough to add enough value. So you have to be so targeted that you can go so deep. Because if you're so top level, you're not going to go deep, are you? And if you don't go deep, people aren't going to trust you. That right person is just going to buzz on by you, go to the next person. And because here's the thing, people might not connect with all of your story, and that's okay. They don't need to connect with all of your story, but they might connect with some of your story, and you'll still earn trust because you're real. So remember, to go bigger in marketing, Smaller is bigger. Smaller market, more narrowed market is bigger marketing because you actually can go deep enough, vulnerable enough to penetrate that person's soul. And that makes you earn trust. When you have a call to action, they actually want to join you instead of just brushing over everything. If you're doing all the things, you got the mindset stuff right, and you don't know why your business isn't growing, check your marketing. Check to see if you're going deep enough with what you share. Do you actually share what you struggle with and what you're overcoming on a deep, vulnerable, emotional level? Not just what you struggle with, but how it made you feel? Do you actually do that? Don't just say, I struggled with this for a long time. Here's how I went through it. But do you actually share what it felt like in the moment deeply? That can be a game changer for you. The goal of identifying the smallest possible market is to find people that will actually understand you. Because if you don't go deep, are people actually going to understand what you feel? No. You need people that will actually understand you and will fall in love with where you hope to take them. Not everyone is going to feel this way. And that's okay. You don't need 300 million people to join you. If you're in network marketing, you need five leaders. That's it. In fact, your entire business of network marketing for your entire career is searching for 5 leaders. That's it. Once you find 5 leaders that build massive organizations, people that are like you, the game's changed. Your life is different forever. Your family's different forever because you've effectively directly and indirectly impacted thousands of lives. But you need to go through a lot of people that enroll if you're ever going to find those 5. People are waiting for you. They're there. They're waiting for you. They just don't know it yet because you haven't been deep enough or vulnerable enough. Your posts from now on need to solve someone's problems or bring someone value on a deep level. So instead of just saying, how do I get more customers or distributors to join me? Or how do I get the word out? Or how can I find more followers? You just ask yourself, what can I help someone feel today? What can I help my ideal customer feel today? What change do I want to help someone make? Let that guide you. And guess what? When you do that, content will flow from you. It'll be easy. The people you're trying to help are trying to figure out who you are. And once they get a picture of who you actually are as someone that wants to help them solve their problems, they're actually going to join you. Does that make sense? And when you do this, you get the best type of promotion and marketing out there. You get word of mouth. Word of mouth. Appreciation Academy is growing so fast because people talk about it. They talk about it because of the above and beyond service I provide my customers. Your best customers are your salespeople because they're going to talk about this level of service they got from you. And those people are earned through trust. In this moment in time, more people are connected than ever before, but fewer people are trusted than ever before. And you become trusted by giving so much above and beyond value to your ideal person. That's how you do it. That's the secret to success. Giving. Successful people keep their focus on what they can give to their ideal customer. If you want to radiate success, give value. People will only do business with those that they know, like, and trust. So if you want to earn trust and become likable, give value. Your true worth as a business owner is determined by how much more you give in value than you take in payment. When you live that way, very profitable things will start to happen very quickly. Give because you love to, because it's a way of life. And that income, your income, is simply based on how many people you serve. You want to know how to build a following? Add value to your ideal customer. And more of your ideal customer will come to you, right? They'll find you from that. And then give all of who you are to that person and their needs and desires. When you do that, your income grows. Your income is determined by how many people or how many of your ideal customer you serve and how well you serve them. Let me repeat that. Your income is determined by how many of your ideal customers you serve and how well you serve them. You find more of them by adding value to the few that are in your current market. Being broke and being rich are both decisions. You'll see where I'm going with this in a second. Being broke and being rich are decisions. They're a way of life. It's the actual money coming in is based on how much you give to your ideal customer. And when you live from a state of not being so attached to the outcome and truly loving the process of doing this, you can have true wealth before you ever have money. Wealth and money are somewhat different things because wealth is how you feel on the inside. It's your character. It's in the way that you live your life. Money, that's just a medium of exchange because you don't do it for the paper and the wallet. You do it for the feeling you think it's going to get. So check your intentions of your business. Is your intention in your business to survive and to make ends meet? Is it to save some money? Is it to expand your life a little bit? Or is it to serve? Is it to give to something bigger than yourself? Because guess which one is more lucrative? Giving to something bigger than yourself. Sales comes down to influence. Well, the way you influence someone is by placing their needs first above yours. This can be applied to comparison in the reverse. When you compare to someone, all you're doing is focusing on how your needs aren't being met as well as the person you're comparing to. That's comparison. That's how you stay broke, because you're focused on an expectation that you don't have instead of appreciation for where you are. And by the way, a quote from Tony Robbins, if you trade your expectations for appreciations, your life changes in a single moment. You need to place other people's needs and appreciation in front of your own needs. When I reach out to people and leaders in network marketing to speak on their team calls, do you think I say, hey, I'd love to speak on your call so I can get 50 people to buy my course? Think I do that? No, I'd say, you know what? I'd love to speak on your team call because I believe this can truly help your team grow. I can help them thrive. I can help them break through everything that's holding them back from success. And it would be such an honor to serve you guys. And I'd love to do this for free for you. It's their needs above my wants. Does that make sense? And you can meet their needs by being 100% who you truly are. Reaching any goal is like 5-10% skill and 90-95% how you think. It's the skill is the easy part. It's how you think and if you're being yourself. As long as you're trying to be someone else, someone you're not, or putting on some act, you have no possibility of reaching people. You might sell a book or sell a fitness program or some other network marketing thing or whatever it is, but that's not what you're selling. What you're selling is the real you. Authenticity is the key to freedom. And when you combine these things, you'll finally deserve a great paycheck. But it doesn't start with wanting a paycheck. You need to give and be open to receiving in return. There is nothing wrong with receiving, by the way. There is nothing wrong with earning money, by the way. Nothing wrong with it. There's nothing wrong with receiving. I love money. In fact, you can't truly give all of who you are if you aren't open to receiving something in return. If you don't think you're worth something coming back in, you're not going to give that much because deep down you know you don't want to receive coming back because you think it's going to equal pain. It's not give if I can get. It's I'll give because it's the right thing to do. And let me rephrase this. It's not I'll give if I can get. It's I'll give because it's the right thing to do. And I'm open-minded to cool shit happening along the way. That's what I'm open-minded to receiving, right? So this isn't sales and marketing strategy per se. This is sales and marketing mindset. It's the strategies are easy. The when to post, the time of day, how to email people. That's easy. That's a piece of cake. That's easy. And you have probably someone in your business that can teach you how to do the important things. And if not, remember, 99% of your business success you can find on Google, right? It's all this, I should say 99% of the business strategy can be found on Google. And you might even have the right strategies right now, but the reason they might not be working is because your mindset's off. It's how you think, because most of success is psychology. If you can adopt this way of thinking into your business, game over, you're going to explode. You want to take it a step further, by the way? If you want to take this to another level, connect to a deeper purpose, to a bigger purpose. If you are not connected to a higher purpose, or if you're doing your business just to make money, a couple of things are going to happen. One, you're probably not going to make very much money. And two, people are going to be able to tell. And three, everything is going to feel forced. If you connect to a higher purpose of who and what you're serving, content creation becomes easy. This is the mission we talked about at the beginning. Genius ideas are going to just blow up in your business is going to become much easier. Leadership gets easier because all of a sudden it's about the benefit of the mission instead of seeking validation. It's very hard for a business to grow if you're focusing on what you can get out of the business. It's also very hard for a business to grow if you're using it as a tool to seek validation. You need to start focusing on what you can give to the people you want to serve. Remember this and put this in your notes. Service always comes first. The money is a cool byproduct. The business, the rank, the team size, it's a cool byproduct. The money will follow, it will, but service is your intention from now on. You need to provide concise value above and beyond what your company already provides. By concise, I mean value that speaks to your ideal customer. The more value you can provide to your ideal customers, the more your business will grow. It's that simple. And when you have a mission of what you're trying to help people do or become, finding value to add becomes easy because you already know what they're struggling with. Instead of bouncing between healthy tips and cool moments on your Facebook and just trying to randomly, how do I post? How do I post? What do I need to come up with today? It's so hard to come up with a post. No, it's not hard to come up with a post. You just don't have a mission. You need to find what you actually want to serve and how to serve those people because you connect with what truly is going on in their life. Instead of this business being a confusing hobby, everything lasers in on intention. People are going to find you predictable. And I don't just mean showing up and posting. I mean that they know that they can count on you for a feeling. That's what predictability really means in business. They can count on you for a feeling. Go look at my page. A better way to do it is go listen to my podcast. My mission is pretty obvious, right? Am I predictable in my podcast and how I show up? Yeah. Am I predictable with how I add value? Yes. It all ties to my purpose, which is going into detail and teaching people how to be happy, to overcome the negative self-talk that's holding you back so you can finally see the success that you deserve in your life. So when you find what your mission is, and you center what you share around that mission, the right people will follow. Because you might have been doing the behaviors and getting people to sign up for your business, your product, whatever it is. But if they're not the right people, chances are they heard a different message when you shared. And so you attracted the wrong people to your business. They didn't do anything because they're not the right type of person for this. You need the right type of person. So when you find what your mission is and you center around, or you center what you share around that mission, the right people show up. They will, but service comes first. If what you get, it's what you give to your business and those you hope to serve. That's the game changer. And by giving, I don't just mean the quantity of free content you put out. I mean, how authentic are you? Does the real authentic you show up in what you share? Giving all of who you are. Not just giving value, giving all of who you are. There are definitely strategies that work, but business is a spiritual game. You need to realize that business is a consistent feeling of trust someone gets from you. That's all business is. It's people granting you their trust based on a feeling they get from you. That's it. So if you were to look at what you put out there right now, what feeling do you share? What vibe do your followers get? A better question. Does it actually solve the problem that they need help with, not just what you think you want to share? Does it actually solve their problem? What do you help them with? What feeling do you want to give them? And give them that feeling in everything you share. And this applies to way more than social media. This is your team. This is your customers. This is your upline, your spouse, everything. When you give and give and give, people will join you, not your product. People don't give a shit about your product. They care about you and your story. They'll join you and then they'll learn to love the company and the products, but they join you first. Business will change when you are generous in giving all of who you truly are, struggles and all, because people won't believe your successes until they believe your struggles. Business will change when you give all of who you are to the people that you deeply want to serve. It can't be, I'm going to give it everything until I have to be vulnerable. That's not how this works. If you are avoiding vulnerability, you will not be successful in your business. You are inspired by vulnerability and you want to be inspiring, so be vulnerable. Think of any time you've ever been inspired by someone. It's probably come from them sharing a deep challenge that they've gone through. In fact, if you ever bought my course Appreciation Academy, chances are the thing that really helped you get on board was the story I shared about my deep emotional struggle with my childhood. That's probably what earned that trust, right? That's where the trust came from. You were inspired by vulnerable story sharing. And so if you want to be inspiring to other people, you have to be vulnerable in your stories as well. Give to the needs of your target customer. Give all of who you are to your audience. Give everything you can to your mission. Business changes. Does that make sense? So, did you take a lot away from this? Did you gain some value on business that you didn't think that you would have gained today? It's so important to understand this. It's so important. Remember, we want to invest in our business and learn. That's why it's so important that we keep going and learning these skill sets. You learn work, career, mission, how you look at your business and see it as a mission you're trying to serve, going back to that pain point. You learn the 3 chokeholds on your business: a victim mentality, an employee mindset, attachment to the results, and how to start to break through those. You learned what those were. You also learned the basic sales fears of perfection, overwhelm, stress, procrastination, and rejection, and the myths of being able to, of wanting to feel fear, and that it's a good thing, it's a survival mechanism, and how it doesn't go away, and success is not a prerequisite to success, and how to use meaning manipulation to break through those fears in your business. And you started to learn the process of marketing, the common mistakes of marketing. And on top of that, how marketing is empathy and identifying what it is that your ideal customer truly wants on a deep level. And deep down in that, more than that, you learn how to connect to a bigger purpose than yourself. You learn that this is about giving. That's what business is. It's not earn money. It is give and serve to your ideal people. That's where the game changes. So I hope you decide to continue with Life Mastery Coaching. Next month is going to be an incredible lesson all about your intimate relationships, all about love and romance and finding that person, or if you're in a relationship already, how to bring that spark back to being fully alive and just something where you just feel truly amazing on a day-to-day basis with your spouse, and how to get the spousal support you need for big business decisions. All of this, my friend, it's all going to intertwine. When a lot of people sign up for my programs for a business result without realizing that all other parts of life need to be aligned. In Appreciation Academy, I teach mindset, but I don't teach life coaching in vivid detail. This is about your business, your money, your relationships, your time, your contribution, your fun, your celebration, your exercise, your body, all of these things. If those are out of whack, think of it like a big wheel of life. And if you have a 9 out of 10 in one area, but a 2 out of 10 in another area, if that's a wheel, is that wheel going to actually drive down the road to your final destination of life? No. You absolutely must learn how to break through and drive that car and get that wheel to fully align so all parts of your life are working together. When all parts of your life work together, the business, the money, that's easy. That becomes so easy, but it requires mastery, which is why I highly encourage you to continue with this program, because next month it is going to be deep into the one area of life where if this is not in line, it screws up everything. Wouldn't you agree that if your personal intimate relationship is out of whack or just kind of boring and not thriving and full of passion and excitement, if it's not there, doesn't it ruin a lot of the rest of your life? Disagreements on finances, your business, spousal support, you're not having as much fun, you feel like roommates, your sex life goes down, all that stuff. We're going to talk about relationships, sex, intimacy, all that stuff. Next month, it's going to be in vivid detail. And remember, our next one will be September 9th instead of September 2nd. And the reason for that is because September 2nd is a holiday. So September 9th will be our next one. And then we'll get back to the very first Monday when it comes to the following month in October. So my friend, I hope you took a lot out of this today involving business mastery. I hope you broke through some fears. I hope you learned a lot of new skills in marketing and how to reach that ideal person and realize that business is a spiritual game. And learn how to share, learn what those fears were, learn what your mission was, and how it's so easy to build a business when you live through that mission. So go out there today and every day and live your life with a genuine smile on your face, because you can. And if you do, your business grows as a byproduct. I will see you next month, and I'll send out an email the week before with all the details. Thank you for being here tonight, and I'll talk to you soon.